Hello, I'm Sean McAngus, and welcome back to the Highland League podcast. In this episode, I speak to Nairn County's Andrew Greig. He talks about his youth days at Ross County in Inverness, joining Brora'S, being in the first Brora'S team that won the Highland League, our trophies, the dramatic defeat in the SPFL playoffs, playing for Formartine, cup wins with the Aberdeenshire side, his time with Nairn, and much more. Hope you enjoy this interview. So, first of all, Andrew, so kind of what were your kind of earliest memories of playing football?
Well, just on the street when I was younger, just always playing after school, any possible opportunity I could. Um, yeah, life of the ball really was started when I was 8 or 9, and just continued all through my childhood. Really,
Yeah, so I remember reading that you started off as a goalie. Can you talk a bit about that?
I was at a time when I just started playing football, and I didn't really have an idea where I would play or anything, so I just was stuck in goals for like a year or two, and then my head almost caught up with me for that couple of years, and then I realised I could. I knew I could. I was quite quick, so I just thought, I'll give outfield a try, and then yeah, from there it was fine.
Yeah. So what do you remember when you first joined Cali? What are your kind of, how
Well,
did that come about?
I was actually at Ross County before Cali. I was at County for under 12s. It was under I think it was under 11s and under 12s. And then I got released from Ross County actually. Um, yeah, we had a really good team at Ross County then. Actually, a lot of boys that still play now. Tony Dingwall was in the team. Archie McPhee was in the team. Remember Ross Naismith was in the team. Don't remember him. And a couple other lads that have played Highland League. So yeah, I got released from County at under 12s, and then I just started playing football with mates for a year, and went to like Cali Hot Shots, a couple of other tournaments just for the summer, and then I got noticed, and then I just joined Cali really quickly after that. So, and that was me from under 13s to under 19s. So it was happening quickly.
Yeah, so what is it like being at a club like that at such a young age?
Yeah, it was interesting. It was quite well, not that I thought at the time, but it was quite demanding. At that time, we trained 3 times a week. We trained Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we had a game on a Sunday as well, so we trained quite a lot. But no, it was really good. It was just always part of my routine when I was younger. Playing football. I loved to play football, so I wasn't. I could have played for anyone, to be honest. I just loved playing football, so it was something I really enjoyed. Through the years, and played with some really good players as well. Um, I've gone on to do a lot on the game.
Yeah, so who were those kind of players that stood out in that team, would you say?
Ryan Christie, he was the year below me, but he was always playing the year above, to be honest. And Liam Polworth as well, two most outstanding players probably. Yeah, and there was a lot of boys that have played Highland League as well that were coming through the age levels as well. So yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of, was there any particular highlights during your kind of time going through the ranks, getting trips abroad or anything like that was?
Yeah, we had a good couple of trips actually. We went to I was quite lucky. We went to Wales. Was under 13s in Aberystwyth, and it was the Umbro Dublin Cup. No, it was Umbro Cup, sorry. And we won that in Aberystwyth. Played against some really good teams actually. Um, and then the year after, we went to Dublin, and that was under 14s, and that was really good as well. Really good experience. Um, a lot, and it was quite good having the same coaches as well. So it was a lot of the same coaches through the age levels as well, which is really good for all of us.
Yeah, so what who were your coaches at that time, and what was the kind of biggest things you learned from them, would you say?
Ronnie Duncan was my coach when I was growing up through Cali, and Danny McDonald, and also Graham McDonald as well. So no, they just set really high standards. It was really good for us young lads because it instilled some discipline in your life. Even at that young age, you took football really seriously. And it was a really professional approach we had to that, even at that young age. Um, and it was just really enjoyable being in that sort of atmosphere and environment. It really brings you on. when you're young and you're playing and you want to get better, you know.
Fast forward a bit, how did you cope with, once you got released, from Cali? How did you, because that must have been hard in terms of you're so close in terms of, you're going through the youth ranks of a team.
Yeah, it was hard. It was difficult to sort of predict. It was because our team hadn't done well for the 2 years. It was under 19s, and for the 2 years it was full time. We didn't do very well in the league. I think we finished bottom both years actually. So it was hard. You didn't really have a case to sort of make for yourself to be part of the first team. And as obviously it's a massive jump anyway. On the first team at that time, I think finished fourth that year, and it was brilliant players in the first team that it can be too big a jump at times. So it was difficult at the time, but looking back now, it was something that I'm not really surprised it happened, but I'm glad for the experience at Cal. It was really good, really really good for all the boys actually. I think there was only one of us that got kept on from that 19 squad, and it was quite a difficult day actually for us all, but it was no, I look back fondly at Cali and memories to be honest.
Yeah, so how did, in terms of after that, did you have kind of much options or stuff before you joined Brora? What kind of was the situation?
Funny because when you get told you're released, you just you don't know. You just sort of naively, you just sort of don't prepare for it, and so you get released, and that's you. You need to go find a job, find a club potentially, or study, or find a different avenue, you know. But so I had Black, Strathspey, obviously Brora, Forest on the phone, and just wanting to speak about joining them, but it was not something that I really thought of at the time. But just listened to all the options I had on the table, and joined Brora. Brora helped me get my get my foot in the door with getting a job, and I knew a few of the people at Brora anyway, which really helped me. Stuart Gallbeck and Danny McDonald spoke to about joining Brora, so it was a bit of a no-brainer. Although I was pretty close to joining Forest as well because I knew a couple of people there, and they just won the league, and I got on really well with Charlie Rowley. Um, Prior, just playing games against him pre-season, and he always had good things to say. So it was Broad obviously I chose.
Yeah, so what was it like at the beginning, being part of Brora? Because obviously a lot of people didn't expect it to become, what it is now.
Yeah, it was difficult. It's a difficult one because I obviously knew people there, but then if you look where Broad, I think Broad finished second bottom the season before I joined, so it was hard to sort of buy into that idea really. But I was so young, I was 19, and going there with people I knew, and they assured me that they had big plans going forward for the club. They told me the people they wanted to bring in, and there was investment coming to the club, and a benefactor looking to invest money and time in the club and take it to the top. So the idea sold me obviously, and it was quite a lot of players that season that joined. There was quite a lot of change that year. I remember speaking to a couple of boys that joined, myself and Ryan Watson and Tom Smith. Ryan Watson and Tom Smith got released with me at Cali as well, and they joined for a little bit of time, which helped as well. But yeah, it was a season of change at Brora, but it was a season I really enjoyed actually. We did really well in the first year, and we finished seventh. Um, and it just sort of continued from there, getting players in, and we brought up a lot of experience in that first couple of years, and then that helped us sort of really kick on and do what we did, you know.
Yeah, so what was your kind of first impression of Highland League football?
Yeah, it was very physical, very aggressive. I remember the first year, our first season, I started on the bench for quite a lot of it, and it was as a young player, you don't realise, but even going from full time under 19s at Cali full time to Highland League, it is a step up. People maybe don't see it as that, but it is a step up. You're playing against men every week, and you need to be physically ready. And especially nowadays, a lot of the teams now are very fit, uh, and there's a much more professional approach nowadays. But then it was really tough to adjust actually. But I think the experience we had really helped sort of myself and some of the younger lads like adjust and adapt it. To be honest.
Yeah, so who were those kind of players that helped you most in terms of adjusting?
Stuart Gallbeck was the main one. He was at Cali when I was there as well, so he was the one that took me in, and And then Stephen Mackay eventually joined, Davy Hind, Richie Hart, all joined that first year as well. So they were the ones that really sort of helped me start sort of getting used to the league and just sort of just throw myself challenges and things, just be more aggressive, to be honest. Because it can be quite a tough league, to be honest, if you're a young lad and just starting out in the league.
Yeah, I was going to say because in terms of challenges and stuff, what you would have not got away with at kind of under 19s in Highland League, there's maybe a bit more leeway for certain tackles that are a bit.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. But and the standard of the league then was really good. There was a lot of teams competing, and obviously we were. I think they finished second. Well, they finished second bottom that the year before. So we had to really instill a whole new mentality of the club before we wanted to go. And we did that in that first year. With a lot of it, and we did really well considering the players that came in and that we had to gel in that first year. There was a lot of expectation there on us as well because everybody knew we were a target for a lot of teams because everyone knew that there was investment to Brora and there was a lot of recruitment, a lot of good players leaving other teams. So yeah, for that reason alone, a lot of other teams saw us as quite a big scalp.
Yeah, so what do you think was the kind of the moment that you thought, this team can win the league?
I think it's when we just gradually brought other players in. I think always the next signing we brought in almost just brought us on even more. I think going into the second year, we started getting our team in shape in terms of brought in Grant Monroe, Xander Sutherland, and that's when we started sort of form. That was the year we won the league. Really formed a team then. Martin McLean was there, Dale Gillespie, Gav Morrison. So a lot of really good experienced players that helped kick us on and bring us the success that we had.
Yeah, so how much did you love playing in that team? Because you seemed to get a lot of freedom because it was like all out attack. I remember watching a lot of the games and it was just like attack after attack, like most
Yeah,
games.
I was really lucky because I was only 20 at the time when that first year we won the league, and it was yeah. Looking back now, I was very fortunate, and you sort of take it for granted how lucky I was to play in such a great team at a young age. I was the youngest in the team. Myself and Martin McLean were the youngest. Playing with such good players as well that they give you a freedom to play and like two amazing strikers, three dogs in midfield, and a rock solid defence and a top goalkeeper. It was a real pleasure playing that team. And it was I didn't track back as much, but they gave me that license to go forward, which is really good.
Yeah, so what was Dave Kirkwood what was he like as a manager? Did he just give you kind of room to,
Yeah,
plenty of freedom to play or
yeah, it was brilliant, Kirky. With everyone, to be honest, he's really big on younger players and players expressing themselves. And the way we played with Xander and Sid played. Steve Mackay played as strikers, but Xander would peel wide, and we were a very, very attacking team. And he was very big on just being solid at the back, but also expressing yourself. Everyone in the team. Mhm.
yeah. Um in terms of, was there anything particular that he helped you with in terms of your game or
Yeah, I think for me especially because I think I was the youngest in the team then, and I was quite fortunate to get because it's like with a younger player, I was quite inconsistent at times, and sometimes I maybe didn't have a great game. Then I had a good game. Then it was sometimes I was in and out a wee bit. But he made you feel really good about yourself even when you weren't playing well, and even the games that I didn't play well, he still made you feel like still feel good about yourself, if that makes sense. And
yeah.
that made me kick on and still give my best. Because it's quite easy in that team to let your head drop because there was such high standards demanded of all the older lads in the team. And at the time, I didn't. Yeah, it was quite hard to adjust to because it was getting a lot of. We set demands on each other. Demands were so high every week that you couldn't have an off game really. But then I look back now and think that's what ultimately why we were so successful. because all these boys like Joe Mallon, Sid Mackay, Gavin Morrison were just driving the boys on constantly, and there's a few lads there that really helped me. Just every game really, like like Grant Monroe, Ross Tokley as well. Um, so yeah, it was a real privilege to play in that team, and something I look back on really fondly now, to be honest.
Yeah, what was it like seeing Ross Tokley running down the wing and whipping in those crosses sometimes?
Well, I wasn't competing for the crosses. I can't head the balls. He was really good talks actually. I think he was still, I think he was only 30, he must have been early 30s at the time that he joined. So he still had a lot to offer then. He was a big goal threat as well. I think one season he scored 10 to 15 goals as well. So he was brilliant, along with Scott Houston as well, who's just brilliant. Colin Williamson, Grant Monroe, Ali McDonald that joined the year after, and I can't really fault any of them. We were a goal threat from everywhere really, because we had such a big team, and yeah, everyone really rallied around each other, because for the first couple of years especially, we were a big scalp for a lot of teams, and the way we were just so professional in every game. To be honest, we didn't really like let up in any game. We had the odd game we'd slip up, but we kept driving each other on, and we just put it behind us and go again.
Yeah. Do you think there's an element of a lot of times that you didn't turn up, but teams seem to be scared of playing against you because they knew how how much quality you had in your team and the amount of score lines, I mean, some of the scores was
Yeah, maybe back then. Yeah, maybe not so much now, but definitely back then there was the golfing quality was quite vast. You had Fort William who struggled most seasons, and there was no relegation, so there wasn't a lot of jeopardy in the league in that sense. Strathspey, Fort William, Rothes weren't particularly great either. So it was yeah. It's hard to sort of have that mentality, but I think at times it did look like that because we won games so comfortably sometimes. But we still did our jobs very professionally, and yeah, that was just the mentality that we instilled in everyone. Like everyone knew their jobs, everyone knew they couldn't have an off day, and if they did, they needed to work hard. And that was from the top and the bottom of the pitch really. And I think the spine of our team really drove the standards. Because it's like with wide players, myself and Xander can have off games, but you just need to keep driving each other on.
yeah. So what was it like that moment, lifting the trophy, obviously after beating Keith?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was quite mad. I think we won it quite early. Trophy. And it meant a lot to a lot of people in Brora as well, which was which is known to all of us actually, because I think it's the first time they've ever won the trophy. So no, it was a really special moment for everyone, and yeah, I remember it really well. I remember it really well. It was a really good day, and yeah, it was really good to lift the trophy at the end of the season as well. I remember that in Brora. It was really good.
Yeah, I think because I was at that game that day, and I think if it wasn't for Daniel Bell, it could have probably been probably been more goals.
Yeah, I remember Sid had a lot of chances that day, and he just saved everything. Daniel Bell, yeah, he was excellent. Still is a really good goalkeeper. So, yeah, it was a good day.
Yeah. So how important was that putting down that marker, getting that first league title, you think, in terms of, going on to all the other success?
Yeah, it was really important. I think what helped us was we won the North of Scotland Cup against Nairn early on in the season in October. I remember at the start of that season, first time we won the league, there's a lot of pressure. We felt a lot of pressure, especially sort of in the change room, because we brought everyone in and we felt like we could really compete. And winning that North Scotland Cup against Nairn sort of took the pressure off a wee bit. We could relax that we'd won a trophy. Because I remember even the scenes that day at Clark Park, it was just crazy. It was a massive crowd, and it was Brora'S first trophy in a long time. So that in itself was that it was a success. So if we'd won the league, it just to top it off would have been even better, and thankfully we did.
Yeah. So what was those kind of celebrations like? They must have been mental for both of those.
Yeah, I think more the bus journeys. I remember we had a couple of rowdy bus journeys, away games especially. A lot of boys that had a carry on, so it was no, it was really good, really good.
Yeah. Who were kind of the biggest characters in that set team, would you say, in the change room? The Jokers?
Quite a few of them actually. Dale Gillespie, Gav Morrison, and Xander probably. All funny guys. Yeah, I remember the Falkabers stops as well. We used to always stop in Falkabers, and that became part of the away journeys. We'd stop in Falkabers on the way to an away game, and then on the way back we'd be in Falkabers for a long time as well. It was really good actually. And I remember every time we went in, the fans were really grateful, and it was really good. And especially the first 2 years, the crowds that went to games, especially from Brora, but it was crazy really. They would take bus loads to away games for those 2 years, and it was. Now I look back on them, and it was a really good time.
Yeah. So in terms of what was it like, winning the second league title? How different did that feel?
Yeah, it did feel a bit different because at the end of the season there was obviously the playoffs to play for, and we'd added a few more players during the season as well to help us. So it was, yeah, I don't want to say it was, yeah, it was business as usual really, because we got back to pre-season after we won the league, and the mentality was still the same, and we had all the same players, and the aim was to win the league again. We knew it would be even tougher because the target's on your back now, and there's a lot of teams that you're a scalp for. So it was difficult, but we had really good characters in the dressing room again, and it just, yeah, that really, really sort of brought us to where we were.
Yeah, so obviously you had the experience of the playoffs. How did you find that? Because it must have been di difficult in terms of, obviously you overcame Edinburgh City, but obviously taking a lead, to the final game against Montrose, and then obviously missing out. That must have been gut wrenching.
It was difficult. It was difficult. I actually missed the first game. I had the flu. I was staying at my sister's in Aberdeen at the time, and yeah, I had the flu. I was floored for a couple of weeks. I missed the first game, and I played the second game in Montrose. So yeah, carrying a lead was important. But I just remember from the second game, it sort of how it felt. It was a massive crowd, a big game, and there was a feeling at the time about if we wanted to go up or not, because it was something the
Mm.
club wasn't prepared for. Um, but me as a young player, I was happy to play any level. Really, just wanted to play football, and I was happy at Brora'S. So if we went up, it would have been great. But yeah, sadly, I think we had players that could make the game through injury, or I think some had booked holidays as well. So we played Montrose, a decent side, by the way, with a fairly depleted squad. So it was yeah, it was a tough game, and I think I think they took the lead early. Then we got back to 1-1, and then yeah, they sort of took over in the end.
Yeah, Gary Woods, who's now in, because you played with Gary Woods at Formartine, did you?
It did, yeah. Guys, a wind assisted screamer from 35 yards.
Yeah.
They scored one of the best goals I've ever seen, actually. And then Marvin Andrews scored a header. So when Gary Wood scores that goal, it's definitely not your day.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you cope with the whole aftermath? Obviously, you mentioned it briefly how a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Brora didn't want to go up." How did you deal with that? Because there was a lot of people who said stupid things like, "Oh, they didn't try, they didn't want to go up." So
No, I don't. Yeah, to be fair, I don't think anyone goes on a football pitch and doesn't try. To be honest,
yeah.
it was just difficult the way it was because we didn't have. I think we played a couple of young lads that were in the Rural youth team. I think they were like 16 and 17. A couple of them hadn't played for us before. That's how short we were, and yeah, we didn't have a defence either. It was difficult, but to say, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really listen to any of it, to be honest, about people saying anything. It was just the way it was, and yeah, it was getting to lose any game, but it was in a game of that sort of importance, it was yeah, even more gutting. But yeah, that was the way it was.
Yeah, so in terms of, obviously, you won the years, you won player of the year. How big of achievement was that for you?
Yeah, it was a massive achievement actually, and I'll be honest, I really didn't expect to win it. So it was really surprising because at that time you nominated three players from each club, to go to sort of go to the dinner and be nominated for Player of the Year, and you voted from those three, obviously. So yeah, it was really really nice to win it, and it was it could have been any one of our squad that were nominated. To be honest, any one of them, from Joe all the way up to Sid, it could have been any of them. So I was really grateful to get all the votes. It was nice, really nice.
Yeah. So in terms of obviously you also won the Highland League Cup as well, and our North of Scotland Cup. How great were those wins, to add to the cabinet?
Yeah, really good. The Highland League Cup final. I remember that was I think that was 2016. I think that was against Nairn at Clack Park, and I've never played in a game like it. It was Nairn battered us for 90 minutes. We had Joe to thank, um, and yeah, we ended up winning on penalties. We got very lucky. Nairn were really really good that day. They had a lot of chances, but they didn't take them. So, but yeah, we ended up winning on penalties. So that was a really good day. And I remember the celebrations at the Cali bar and things like that after. So it was really nice, and there was a lot of fans of that day too, which was even better.
Yeah, was that the one? Would Connor Geffins be playing for Nairn at that time? Was that team?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Connor was playing. Remember, Connor scored a penalty, his first penalty, and I just walked up and he sort of pushed me, just saying good luck. I was like, okay, thanks. But it was yeah. So we ended up winning on penalties, and it was a good day.
Yeah. So in terms of what was the kind of, obviously you won all these trophies, but what else was kind of enjoyable about being part of, Brora? What?
I think it was just the obviously winning every week was obviously amazing, but I think it was more the standards that the experienced players set in the changing room, um, and just being part of that every week. It's something that uh, you don't really experience. I've sort of learned to be really grateful for those times. To be honest, as I've got older in my career, because I was so young at the time, and naively, you just think it's going to continue like that for your whole career. You're going to be winning all the time, but it's not like that. So yeah, it was just the whole experience at Brother was really good, and it was, yeah, as I say, it was the boys that set standards all the time, and winning was the only option really, and it was especially for those 2 or 3 years, we won a lot, and yeah, we continued for the next couple of years to win a couple of cups, and then obviously Cove, I think Cove won that a couple of times then, and Bucky. So yeah, it became more difficult because it just gets more difficult to stay in a level over a period of time, just because players get older, things have freshened up as well, and it's just quite hard to sustain. But yeah, during that time, it was really really enjoyable and something I look back on, and I'm really thankful for actually.
Yeah, so what was kind of Ben Mackay like to deal with? Obviously, he's the kind of the main benefactor.
Yeah, he's really good to deal with. Really, he's a winner. He's got a clear vision for Brora, that just to win at all cost, and I think he's a Brora lad, so there's a lot of passion behind there, and he'll do anything to see Brora succeed and help the club. So it helped everyone having Ben there, to be honest, because you knew you were doing it for Brora as well. So yeah, he was a big part of the success, obviously.
Yeah. So during those seasons, who do you think was kind of the most underrated player in that Brora team? Was there any players you think went under the radar or?
Um, for those 2 years especially, I would definitely say Scott Houston. I don't think a lot of people talk about Scotty. He was rock solid at the back playing with Grant Monroe. He was honestly excellent for 2 or 3 years I played with him. He played at centre half, and he was just so quick, and he him and Grant had a great relationship at the back, and conceded very few. I don't know how many goals. They conceded like 12 or 14 goals. They conceded in 1 year, and it was, yeah, Scotty was one that really flew under the radar.
Yeah. So in terms of you end up leaving um Brora and joining for Martin, was there any kind of other options like on the table, in terms of once you left Brora?
No, not really. At the time, I wasn't playing at Brora as much as I wanted to. I was on the bench quite a bit, but my form had dipped for a couple of months, and we'd signed other players. That was a couple of years after winning the league, obviously. So we had other players come in, some really good players. Paul Brindle started playing, and Xander was still there, and obviously Sid was still there as well. So the team was changing. It wasn't sort of what I remembered it to be. I was in and out of the team a bit more, and it was yeah, maybe because I was younger as well. I just expected to play, and that just wasn't the way it was. Really, I needed to earn my place. So yeah, I heard of Formartine's interest, and yeah, I was really interested in going. And it obviously helped because there was Inverness lads there as well at the time, and I knew there was a car full of the boys that went through, so that would have helped.
Yeah. So how different was it to, being at Brora, being at Formartine?
Yeah, I think when I initially joined Formartine, my whole stint at Formartine, there was a lot of very good players there. I think the main difference was the sort of experience that we had in the dressing room at Brora compared to Formartine as well. We had some younger lads at Formartine, and yeah, I think we had a lot of talent at Formartine, but maybe we didn't realise the success as much. And it's really hard to put your finger on why we weren't as successful as we were, because I think in the bigger games we did really well, and we'd slip up in sort of games we're expected to win. So yeah, we looking back on the time at Formartine, we should really have won more than we did. As I said, we had some excellent players there. But then the league's tougher as well. You've got teams starting to do a lot better, like the Cove, Bucky, Fraser were always there. Like a lot of really good teams. So it's not easy to win a league by any stretch either. And Formartine had never done it, so and it's yeah, it's a difficult thing to do. But yeah, I think the main difference was just the experience that Brora had compared to Formartine, to be honest.
Yeah, was it just kind of some like seeing out games and certain things?
Yeah, I think it was that, and I think it was a load of things. It's just about setting standards as well. I think at Brora it was not accepted to sort of concede cheap goals or just, as you say, see out games and just be more sort of clinical as well with results. But as I say, for Martin, we had a really good year. I can't complain. The first year it was a second. We did come close in a couple of seasons as well. We had some excellent players. Some are still there now. But it's like anything. You could have you could still have an amazing season at Formartine, which we did for a couple of years, and not win the league. So it's hard to really compare between the Brora team and the Formartine team, because the Brora team in one season we drawn four and won the rest, and that's never really that doesn't really happen ever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whereas at Formartine we still had a lot of talent, but we fell short.
yeah, and maybe past experience hasn't helped because obviously, in the past, for Martin losing this was way before your time, but losing the league on the final day and stuff like that, it doesn't really help.
Yeah, yeah, I did hear about that. I think a couple of boys were still there at that time. I think they were points ahead with a couple of games to go and ended up losing it. Craig McKeown used to talk about that a lot, actually. But as you say, that probably doesn't help. But no, it was a really good time for Martin. A lot of good players as well. Like we had so many players that came and went from Martin, and played with some really good players there as well. But I had a really good time. We did really well in the cups as well, Scottish Cup runs, and yeah, some really good players I played with there.
Yeah, so would you say were kind of the standout players you were playing with in that team?
I think Graham Roger. He's probably one of the most underrated players I played with. Actually, excellent player. That was for all the years I was there. Sort of Johnny Crawford, Archie McPhee he was there for a couple of years when I was there. Wayne McIntosh, obviously. Um, Stuart Anderson was also a massive part of the team, and Craig McKeown. So we had some amazing players there that I just named, and it's hard to believe that we didn't come closer or didn't win the league with those players.
Yeah, so what was Craig McEwen like to play with?
Yeah, Craiger's Craiger demanded a lot. Craiger, he was excellent. I played him at Brora for the last 6 months, Inverness. Actually, he came when we won the league the second time, and he came just for 6 months, and yeah, he moved back to Formartine. So yeah, I think he was a bit of a voice in me joining Formartine as well. So yeah, he was a good influence on me as well, Gregor.
So in terms of you played under Paul Lawson, how was he as a manager?
No, Loss was excellent, and Russell Anderson, they were very good. Obviously, got so much experience between them. But no, I've got nothing but good things to say about Loss and Russell. They obviously brought me to the club, and we won. I think we won Highland League Cup and the Aberdeenshire Cup as well. So there was success there, and I think it was just the consistency as well, consistency of getting results, because we did really well in the bigger games. Sometimes
Mm.
in the bigger games we didn't do as well as we should have. But no, Russell and Paul were excellent for me, to be honest.
Yeah, what were they good as in terms of, management and stuff, would you say?
Yeah, they were really good at setting standards actually, and they had not a lot of knowledge of the teams that are around about us. The Aberdeenshire teams had a lot of knowledge of who we'd be playing and the best way to play against teams as well. So they helped us out in that sense a lot, and no, they were they were really positive as well. Really positive when we were playing. We were very attacking, which helped. We scored a lot of goals, but maybe conceded too many. But no, they were very forward thinking, and no, very positive management team.
Yeah. So you mentioned how you went on a good kind of Scottish Cup run for Martin. What are kind of memories from that?
Yeah, I made a couple of good results. Remember we played Albion. Albion were in League Two at that point, and that was one particular result. Yeah, they were I think second bottom at the time. We went there, won 2-0, which nobody saw coming. Actually, I think we were third or fourth in the league, and they've got a few of its good results recently. But we went there, won 2-0, and also we played Queen of the South as well at their place, and we gave a really good account of ourselves. So I think we lost like 4-1, if I remember rightly. So no, we some really good runs, and also we played in the is it the Iron? Is it the cup? What's the cup called when you finish?
Challenge Cup, yeah. Is that the Challenge Cup?
Challenge Cup, sorry, yeah. So did well on the Challenge Cup as well. We went over to Coleraine.
Oh,
I remember that. It was really good actually. We did well. We drew 1-1. They had some really good players. They were very good. So we drew 1-1 and ended up losing on penalties. So yeah, that was a bit gutting, but no, we tend to do really well in the cups, even in the cup finals that we've played at Formartine. We've had some good results against really good teams. I think when we won the Aberdeenshire Cup, we had a really tough run of games and we ended up doing really well to win that. And no, we did really well because they had a lot of quality and they should really have won the game in 90 minutes, but we did well to take it to penalties. So on another day, we could have won.
in terms of obviously you ended up moving to Nairn, where you're still at now. What once you left for Martin, what was kind of your options and choices, and was Nairn always the place you were wanting to go to, or?
I think at the time, my time at Formartine was started off really well. I was playing a lot at the start, and for a couple of years, then I started being in and out of the team, and it was a difficult period of time because it was COVID as well, and the season wasn't really running. So I was in and out of the team quite a bit, and I got to a point at Formartine where I wasn't playing. I was an unused sub at times, and I would just come on the off the bench for 10, 15 minutes. As you can imagine, it's a massive commitment doing that for travelling from Inverness to put med in on a Wednesday night or even on a Saturday having to travel home. It does wear you down after you do it for a while. And I probably did this for about 6 months. And yeah, I just decided, had a chat with Loss and just that I needed to go and play elsewhere, just be closer to home because the travelling was starting to get a bit much, especially when you're not playing. It's not an easy drive home, to be honest.
Mm. So how did you find it, when you join in, Nairn?
Yeah, it was really good. I actually joined Conor Gethins. Was actually at Nairn at the time, and he was the one that sort of took me to Nairn. And it was handy for me. Local club, really good club. Some really good players there as well. And no, at Nairn, it was Nairn or Forest to be the two I would have joined. And no, it's I'm glad I joined Nairn. It's a really good club, and I'm yeah, really glad I joined.
Yeah. So how have you found it so far?
Yeah, really good. First year under Ronnie Sharp, it was good. Just getting back to playing every week. Just really enjoyed it. And then obviously Ronnie lasted, I think, well, when I was there, I'm not sure, it was about a year. And then Sid came in. And Sid and Heidi came in as the management team. So it was, yeah, that was really good as well. And it's been a really good experience in there. Just you see a lot of players that a lot of sort of players that you play against over the years that have been there in a while, and you sort of realise how good they are. Sort of underrated players in the league. And it's been really good, and I've really enjoyed it. You see, there's a lot of people now that do so much for the club that people don't see. A lot of volunteers, a lot of people behind the club, and it means a lot to us as players because people give up their free time and expect nothing back, and it's and we're doing it for those kind of people, you know.
Yeah, you were in the team that won the cup. The North.
Oh, the Scotland Cup.
Yeah.
So I didn't play that year because I'd tore my meniscus, so I missed that a year playing. But no, the team did really well. Amazing achievement. I think they finished seventh and won the North Scotland Cup, so you can't really complain. That's an amazing year for now, and it's it was really tough to watch for that year. To be honest, tough to see. I'm so happy for them, but it was tough to see them win it. It was delighted for them, but I was also personally, selfishly gutted. You know.
Yeah, and especially when the two Ross County and obviously Caley, they both lost in them. So like everyone was expecting because they're the full-time teams that they're gonna and they're a strong team. I mean, they seem to always put on strong lineups for the cup.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 'cause I remember watching. I think Ross County. I think they beat Brora in the semi-final, and it was a similar lineup to the one that Nairn beat in the final. So yeah, the boys did a great job then. I remember some of the goals that were scored, and it was a really good game to watch. A really good game, and a big crowd, and it was really nice to see the boys win it.
Yeah. So how have you found it being one of the more experienced players now? Obviously, you had that experience being the the youngster at Brora. How are you finding that?
Yeah, it's something I've sort of just naturally adopted, but it's fine. There's quite a lot of boys out there, and they're sort of similar ages to me as well. They've been there a while, so it's no. I think we've got a good blend of experience in the team, so it's we're just about maintaining standards, and as you get older, just looking after yourself a bit more, and just your body doesn't recover the same. I'm not as quick as I used to be, so it's just sort of being a bit more professional towards how I train and things like that, you know.
Yeah, is there any certain things you do now that you didn't do at the beginning, would you say?
Probably just don't train as much out with training Tuesday, Thursday. Just sort of manage the workload a bit more, especially when we've got midweek games as well. It can be a bit tougher. But no, apart from that, it's you just know yourself as you get a wee bit older. Times when it's just not trained as well, that can help.
Yeah. So what are your kind of hopes with this Nairn team? What would be like good seasons in the next few years, would you say?
I think after the last year we had, I think the fact that I think we finished 13th. And from last year finishing seventh, it feels like a really disappointing season actually. So I think the aim really is to just kick on and just anything above where we finished last season is can be seen as a success, but we need to really kick on, especially with Toshi and the management team that are there. They'll really drive standards and yeah, try and kick the boys on, and hopefully they'll do that.
Who would you say has been the best player you've played against so far?
It's a tough one. It's hard to look past the Cove team. When I was at Brora in my later years at Brora, I'd probably say Mitch Megginson, or like some Mitch Megginson, Scully, Blair Ewell, but I'd probably say Mitch Megginson.
Yeah. Who would you say is the most underrated player you've played against in the Highland League?
That's a tough question. I'm really
Yeah.
not sure. Really not sure. There's a lot of, like, I have no idea.
Yeah. Is there any particular teams that you faced that you think have improved, massively that you've kind of been impressed with over the last?
Yeah, well, I think especially when from the earlier days, you've just seen him throughout the years. I think Bucky really impressed me because when I was at Brora, Bucky weren't really up there winning the league. But really, over the last 5, 6, 7 years, they've really kicked on. Um, so yeah, they're really impressive. They've done really well over the last however many years.
Is there been any kind of random clubs you've been linked to or opportunity to move abroad at any point or?
No, when I was in my last year, like after I won the league the second time at Brora, I think I remember getting a phone call from Xander saying that Peterhead potentially were looking to sign me, but then nothing eventually came of it. That's the only time I've been linked really and not known about it.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Please spread the word to help the podcast grow by telling a friend about us or sharing one of our social media posts. Hope you join me next time for another interesting interview.